Alrighty then, so minor 7 flat 5. You could say that, oh, you can use this instead of Locrian, which is the mode that comes with chord 7. But that's just bullshit, because you never use Locrian. You never really use the minor 7 flat 5 chord. It is so rare. What you do is you use it when you extend your 5 chords. And so instead of playing... I said you could tritone substitute there to create more crazy sounds. But what if you don't want to be that crazy? You just want to be a 9 chord instead of a dominant 7. Well, you use this minor 7 flat 5 to hit all those notes, because that's what naturally will happen. You're just leaving the root out and hitting one note further up. It's just that whole harmonize the major scale every other note of the scale. It's just that, but lift it up. And then that's how you do all your substitutions, all your normal substitutions anyway. Now, here's the thing. If you don't do this in real life, like 2 real songs, you don't actually substitute your 5 chords with this minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, you'll forget these shapes. If you don't use it, you'll forget it. And I know this from personal experience. I don't really do that often, and therefore I can't really pull these out like bam, like I can with my major 7 arpeggio, which I use all the time. And it's the same with any language, actually. I'm Swedish, right? And I've been living in England now for almost 20 years, and I'm struggling speaking Swedish like there's no tomorrow. It's crazy. I'm looking for words all the time when I only speak to like a couple of friends back home once in a while, and my parents and stuff. And I'm like, I'm struggling with the most basic words because I never use it. It's fascinating, I lived there for a long time, like 25 years or whatever. I didn't have any problem speaking Swedish. Stopped doing it for 20 years, and it's like, what's the word again for this really simple thing? It's so crazy. And that's what happens with your minor 7 flat 5 arpeggios as well. You might practice them now, and you might be like, yeah, I can do this, no problem. You can do all the exercises backwards and forwards and up and down, and no problem. Connect them, you've done it. And then you stop practicing these, which you should, because you can't just practice these all your life, It's got to be an end to it. That's why it's a self-eliminating practice routine. You got to stop at some point. Otherwise, it's mental, right? So you do that, and you're like, yeah, I definitely know it. And then you don't use it for 2 years, like maybe once in a while. You're not going to remember it. So this is just the first step. And if you don't use it, you'll forget it. Tough cookies. Gotta use it to remember it. Anyway, what does it look like? Well, it's kind of like a minor blues scale, but you're taking a bunch of notes out. So that's a minor 7 chord, right? Root, flat 7, minor 3rd, 5th. That's your flat 5. So you gotta play all those chords first. So that's your G minor shaped minor 7 flat 5. If you can't play the chord, you can't do this arpeggio. Here's the minor pentatonic. And we know we don't want the 4th, so that note's gonna go, right? We do want the flat 5, but we don't want the 5. So that's a lot of notes to like, it's not that enough similar. Like when we did the minor 7 arpeggio, we could say it's like a minor pentatonic without the 4th, because it's only one thing to remember to take out. You go beyond one thing, it's not a good enough example. So let's look at the intervals. Minor 3rd. Very strange, isn't it? Because we want to go there normally. Minor pentatonic, minor 7 arpeggio. But we can't, because that's going to be there. And you don't want to play like that. So we got to go outside the shape. That's all the 4 notes, right? Root, minor third, flat 5, flat 7. Root, minor third, flat 5, flat 7, root. That's a nice little shape, isn't it? So if you're thinking blues, minor blues scale, you could just play that arpeggio instead to get a bit more of a wacky sound. It's hard, this one, it's so stretchy. Okay, so we gotta learn it, right? Even though it's so weird. So we just do this up and down, and then we go here. We're kind of combining the G minor shape and the E minor shape. And then, where are we next? G. I can't do that here, right? It's going to be too... the guitar ends. So I have to use that open string. I like to see this one as two things, actually. That's the lower bit. Otherwise, it's just a bit too weird. But we keep practicing it. Maybe keep putting that chord in. So that chord shape, rather. E flat. Chord again, A flat. Find lots of different ways like this to like nail it down. Because it's hard, it's much harder than all the other ones. Anyway, let's move on. E minor shape, so that's your E minor chord. And how do we do in flat 5? We don't want to do that, right? Because nobody wants to listen to that. So we got this one, that's the D minor shape, isn't it? So we can do this. But that's never going to fit in the song. But it's good to visualize it for the arpeggio. Flat 5, flat 7, root, minor third there. Minor third there. Flat 5, because, you know, blues scale. Flat 5. We don't have a 5, right? We have a flat 5. Flat 7. Root, minor third. It's so weird, isn't it? But just that. Just like a little flavor in a blues lick. As soon as you do too much of it, it starts sounding really weird. Or if it's an F9, that's a start on the third. Now all of a sudden it sounds much nicer because you're playing a dominant 9 chord. Rather than, who's that? Okay, so you take that around the cycle of 4th, and then you go to the just that bit, and you play the D minor shape. Minor third, flat 5, flat 7.